Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and NASCAR. This is a presentation of Fox Sports.
From the Texas Motor Speedway, we welcome you to the O'Reilly 300 on Fox, presented by Mr. Clean Auto Dry. Now hear those famous words of advice. Go west, young man. Altered a bit with a NASCAR-style tune-up, more like go fast, young driver. Today, a state that loves everything bigger and better receives the best that the Busch Series has to offer in a Superstars versus Rising Stars showdown. And after 7 of 35 races, a check of the points, Carl Edwards, one of 4 rookies, the leader. Reed Sorensen, who's a big fan of the Fox animated comedy Family Guy. Second on that list, we'll see him in action. Fast action coming right up. But first, let's head down trackside at the Great American Speedway and look in and listen in for the opening ceremony.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day, for your great love for us in sending forth your Son, for the freedom we celebrate in this country, and for the men and women who protect that freedom. Today we give you thanks for the drivers, their crews, and sponsors, and ask, Lord, that you would give them safety and protection, that you would allow them to do the best of their ability, and everything done this day to be done to your honor and glory. And this we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Kerry Harvick as she performs today's national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
A warm, sunshiny spring day here in Texas. Kerry Harvick, no relation, by the way, to Kevin Harvick, who won't be running in today's race. As we welcome you to the Hollywood Hotel, our corporate headquarters, our coverage of NASCAR continuing. It's the place America gathers every weekend. Chris Myers here for all of us. Welcome to competition and confrontation taking place at nearly 190 miles an hour. Shane Meal on the pole today. He's also on probation. Meal's been fined. He was docked 25 championship points after a run-in and near brawl with Dale Jarrett in the last Busch Series race. I had a little break. We'll see how it plays out today. So the opening scene set. My partner also set. Former champion crew chief Jeff Hammond. So Shane won't see Dale Jarrett in his rearview mirror. He's not in this race, but he'll see a lot of other drivers fighting for that top spot today.
And he needs to watch out right quick because you got guys like Mark Martin and Tony Stewart that's going to be making their way up through the field because during practice earlier this week, they all looked at those two veterans and said, you need to watch out for these cars. So that young man better watch out. He may wind up getting some more hurt feelings before this day's done.
Big payday, big drivers here. Steve Burns talked with Shane Meal in Texas this week and asked if the incident was still weighing heavily on his mind.
No, and I hope it's not with Dale Jarrett either. You know, I hope that's something he's still not thinking about. That's a 5 lap to go heated racing moment that I definitely didn't do purposely, and sorry I hurt him and hurt his fans. You know, I get a lot of hate mail and stuff like that over that, but you know, I'm here to race. You know, my sponsor likes the way I race. My owner likes the way I race. Sometimes I don't like the way I race. I tend to lose my mind, but I just love racing in NASCAR Busch Series, and that's what the Busch Series is about.
Some candid comments. Dale Jarrett has some sharp words for Generation X drivers tomorrow on our pregame show on Fox. Right now, let's check in with Dick Bergman. Dick?
Well, Shane Meal surely has developed a reputation as a bad boy here in NASCAR. Penalties, fines, probation as well. They were angry with him last week in the truck race at Martinsville as well. Today, he starts on the pole. And he has never won in this Busch Series, although he has finished in 3rd place on 4 separate occasions. He has a very fast race car and an outstanding crew. And perhaps today, Shane Meal will begin to build a new reputation, that of a winner in NASCAR's Busch Series. To Matt Yoakum.
Dick, Mark Martin starts 5th today, and he's the series all-time win leader, the all-time winning Busch Series driver here at Texas. And it's not hard to imagine when you talk to several drivers and crew chief at the garage area, they're picking Mark Martin as the pre-race favorite, the guy to beat. 2 starts this year, 2 victories. He's batting 1,000, and his car looked very strong in practice and qualifying, Chris.
All right, thanks, Matt. Let's bring in the guys who will be calling the action. The voices of NASCAR on Fox, Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, and Mike Joy. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Chris, and welcome, everybody. You know, this track has 2 different scenarios. First off, it rewards first-time winners. Dale Jr. got his first Busch and his first Cup win here. Jeff Burton got his first Cup win here. And then you have Mark Martin, who's won here in 3 of 4 appearances in the Busch Series. So, Darrell, looking at those first 2 rows, what do you see?
Well, what I like is I like the youth movement that's going on in the Busch Series. You got Shane Meal, you got Truex, you got Edwards, you got Justin Labonte, Johnny Wood there, and Denny Hamlin. All 20-somethings that are trying to make a name for themselves, and this is the place to do it.
So a good bit of inexperience at the front of the field, but Larry, how do you beat Mark Martin here?
Well, I think watching practice the other day, that's going to be a tall order. Unless they have a problem, I think on the racetrack, it's going to be tough to beat these guys. Now, the last time these guys raced, we had 14 cautions at Bristol. A lot of opportunities for strategy and adjust on that race car. But I really think if you want to lock on trying to beat Mark Martin, maybe you try to outthink him and pull some strategy and be out there on a little fresher tires at the end, maybe than that 9 car.
But, Darrell, last weekend was a very needed weekend off for this series, I think.
Oh, listen, they've been all over the world, not just all over the Southeast. They've been to Mexico and everywhere else, California. Yeah, these guys needed that off week. Kind of let the tempers cool off a little bit and refocus on the job at hand.
So after a weekend off, we come here to one of the 2 fastest tracks in NASCAR as 43 Busch Series drivers get set to go. Getting plugged in, tightened up, maybe calmed down, and set to the task at hand. It's a beautiful day here, but it's a very warm day. We anticipate a slick track. So now let's go trackside and get this Texas size party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Doug Bryant as he delivers those most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
300 miles for the NASCAR Busch Series as engines fire along pit road. Let's check with Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, 2004 NASCAR Busch Series champion Martin Truex Jr. got a win in the 3rd race of the season at Mexico. A good start. But since then, he's failed to record a top 10 finish. After his qualifying run on Thursday, he was uncharacteristically emotional. He said, qualifying on the outside of the front row is like a win for us. This is a huge boost for our race team. He feels very confident about today's race. Let's go to Jeannie Zelasco.
Well, after finishing last season top 10 in points for the first time in his career, guess who's holding his ground? Ashton Lewis. That is right. Currently 6th in the point standings, just 1 behind the reigning Busch champion, but they are taking a chance today. Seems like they blew out the entire pit crew except for the gas guy and the jack guy, and move they said was necessary. Since they've arrived, they don't want to go anywhere. And guys, you're talking about the youth movement on the track. Well, opposite in the pits here, guys. The average age of the over-the-wall guys, 40.4 years of age, they told me with pride. Mike?
Thanks, Jeannie. We're set to go here in Texas. All the engines have fired. They're set to go out for the pace laps. Back down to the Hollywood Hotel and Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, Mike. And guys, yet 7 of the top 10 qualifiers are 26 years old or younger. And since qualifying Thursday, right? Cars locked down. Nobody's been out here active.
Nobody's been out there on the racetrack at all. Had an opportunity to work on their cars. NASCAR impounded everything after qualifying, so they've had a lot of time to think about this.
Keep an eye on the track temperature as well. 15 drivers competing in their first Busch Series race at this track. The O'Reilly 300 right around the corner on Fox. From the Texas Motor Speedway, the O'Reilly 300 on Fox, presented by Mr. Clean Auto Dry. We'll head back upstairs. Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy. Mike, 13 double-duty drivers, so a nice blend of youth and experience. We'll see them today as well as tomorrow here on Fox.
And you can see it's a warm and very sunny day here. A few big white puffy clouds coming over the speedway, but still it's going to be 100 degrees or better track temperature through most of this event. Last time they were on the track, it was in the cool of late afternoon for qualifying on Thursday. Here's a look at the starting lineup with Shane Meal and defending series champ Martin Truex Jr. on the front row.
That is so typical of a Parrott-led race team right there. I mean, all for one, one for all, really get up for the race. That's impressive.
Brad Parrott, the crew chief for Carl Edwards.
Many think the win will come from the third row. Mark Martin, Tony Stewart.
Well, again, Jeff Hammond talked about it. These guys had 2 hours of practice before qualifying. They've not been on the racetrack, and there was no question in those 2 hours, not only was Tony Stewart in the 33, Mark Martin in the 9 fast, they were good on long runs. But regardless, it's been warm here all week, but this racetrack, the characteristics since Thursday has changed dramatically because of all the rubber laid down. This track's going to be very slick even at the start of this race.
And very different from what these guys that are familiar with, accustomed to from what they did in practice.
Now, last evening in the Crown Royal International Race of Champions, it did not take long for that second group to come in, and we had a lot of 2 and even 3 wide racing in IROC last night.
Yeah, Bobby Hamilton was up there rim riding.
Oh, he was right up there. Well, Darrell, want to see if we can get a word with the odds-on favorite?
Hey, Mark, this is DW. Buddy, you're surrounded by a bunch of young guns there. What's the plan, buddy?
Well, I'm going to try to stay clear of them, Darrell. You know how it is out here. 300 miles a long way, and got some awesome drivers and awesome cars out here today, and we're just going to try to preserve the Pennzoil Platinum Ford till the end. Try to get us another one.
Well, you're off to a great start in the Busch Series again this year, and it sure is good to see you run up front every week, buddy, so good luck to you.
Well, thanks, man. I think we're going to have some fun today.
That silver number 9 is the car everybody will have their eye on. He has run 4 Busch races at Texas. He has won 3 of them.
And he's competed in 2 this year, and he's won 2 of them. Right there you see 200 laps, 300 miles, pit road speed, especially green flag stops could be so critical. I talked about strategy just a little bit ago. Right there, 60 to 65 laps. This race is known in the middle portion for long green runs. That's maybe where you pull your strategy.
Except for Daytona, the pole starter has led the first lap of every Busch race this year. See if Shane Meal can keep that string intact. 5 drivers had to go to the back. Johnny Sauter, Ryan Hemphill, J.J. Yaley, Stanton Barrett, Jeffrey Bodine for various reasons.
Starts can be a little treacherous here, and restarts. You have a tendency to spin the tires on these starts and restarts, so keep an eye back in the field. Be sure we don't run over somebody gets run over.
For that reason, reach up there and pull them belts tight. One more time, DW.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, partner. So just what I was talking about with Justin Labonte. He spun the tires, jumped sideways.
And now he's pinned up in the high side in the 44 car. He's already lost 3 or 4 positions with more coming.
That'll just be something you want to keep your eye on every restart, because it inevitably has an effect on the outcome of this race.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car. He'd like to lead this first lap. It's going to be a drag race there. Truex leads it.
He got it.
Gets those 5 bonus points.
A couple of DEI-powered cars there leading the field around here. They've really done a good job of turning their Busch program around, because they're up front on a speedway where it takes horsepower.
Darrell, how much are you tiptoeing these first couple of laps? You haven't been on track in a day and a half, and it was much cooler then.
Boy, you're just hoping when you bail off in that first turn, it's as good as you remember it being, and no surprises.
Kenny Wallace battling Paul Menard. This is for 17th.
This is the toughest part of the race, Mike. When you're up there, low air, track's different than what you remembered it being from practice. You really got to be on your game right here and stay out of trouble.
Rick Biffle to the inside, so is Reed Sorensen, and here comes the 35, Jason Keller, up into this mix, battling side by side with the 38 of Casey Kane, who is now up to 23rd spot.
And I tell you what, we just saw Casey Kane in the 38 do there through 3 and 4. Looks like already we have that second groove. You see him right there down in turn 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, again, I think if you watched that IROC race last night, you saw that you can get by somebody up there. Kane is definitely quicker than Ashton Lewis is here, and he's going to make the pass.
And Casey in the 38 car, he didn't get a lot of practice on Thursday because he actually hit the wall coming on turn 4, and they spent most of that 2 hours working on that race car.
Martin Truex Jr., who did compete in IROC last evening, and may be finding that to be of benefit because he is opening it up on Shane Meal.
And you heard Chris Myers talking about we have 13 double dippers, 13 guys in this race will be on the race tomorrow. Remember, these guys were on the track earlier today in practice, even though they could make major adjustments to their cars because of the impound. That had to help those 13 drivers with that experience on the racetrack this morning.
12th place, Blake Feast around the outside of Joe Nemechek with Reed Sorensen in the 41 moving in.
Yeah, I like that kid. That Sorensen kid, you're gonna hear big. He's gonna be in Cup for long.
Reed started back in the 15th position. He's moved up just a little bit, but I know this was a car that looked awfully good on long runs on Thursday in practice.
See a lot of cars having a problem off of turn 2, Larry. They look like the 64 car, Jamie McMurray. He got up a little high off of 2. A couple others.
Well, that's definitely been one of the trouble spots all week long for Busch and Nextel Cup.
They just get to pushing over there, and the only thing you can do is let out the throttle and hope that it doesn't hit the wall. That will improve if they can get a higher groove or higher lane off of that turn, get a little more direct line coming down out of turn 2.
Okay, you do what you got to do.
Riding with the 21 car right here, Brandon Miller. Of course, this is a car that Kevin Harvick shares the ride with Brandon Miller. They elected to run Brandon here this week at Texas, making his 3rd start of the season.
Jerry Robertson, the 78 right behind him, and then Johnny Sauter.
Michael around Blake Feast there.
Tell you who's coming, Darrell, is Kenny Wallace. Kenny has moved up well up into that mix. He was battling with Michael lap or 2 ago, and did Michael brush the wall?
He may have. He got up high going around the 5 car over there.
This is where you were talking about, though, DW, over off turn 2. Car just four-wheel slide.
Yeah, that's a little bit more than a kiss, I might say. Yes, that's a smack.
Plenty of room. You're all right.
And Darrell, you can turn the wheel over there, and it does not affect that slide.
It's this racetrack, more than any I know of, when she takes off, the only thing going to stop it's a wall. You can let off the throttle, you can do whatever you do as a driver, but you're not going to keep it off the wall.
Martin Truex, Shane Meal, Carl Edwards, and Mark Martin are the front 4 as we come around to complete 10 laps, and that lead does not look safe by any means.
No, and I think if Mark Martin's going to win this race, he's probably going to have to beat a teammate of his.
But Darrell, that last time, looking at the scoring monitor, Mark was about 2/10 quicker than that lead 3.
Oh, this is when Mark's old car just starts getting down and hunting. He can run about 10, 15 laps into a run. He's never real good on a restart or on the start of the race, but as soon as the pressure's come up in the tires, his shock package, everything he does, that baby takes off.
What is it about Mark Martin and cars with, let's say, less than Cup-level horsepower? He's the all-time winner in the Busch Series. He's won 4 IROC championships. He was second last night in IROC.
One thing that I heard him say, and I'm not sure, I haven't followed up because I hadn't had a chance to talk to him, but he said, thank Jack Roush for letting me build this car the way I want to. And this car, the Busch car. And Mark has a lot of little tricks from his OASA days that I think he applies to a car if he has his way.
And it's the reason he keeps racing this car every race he shows up in the Busch Series.
Mark is in 4th place, 1 second out of the lead, held by Martin Truex Jr.
The O'Reilly 300 on Fox, presented by Mr. Clean Auto Drive Pro Series Car Wash. Never dry your car again. By the new Stacker 2 XPLC. If you like the original Stacker 2, you're going to love new Stacker 2 XPLC. By Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And by Chevy, the defending manufacturer's champion. The Revolution races on. Martin Truex Jr. races on here. 18 laps in, your leader over Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, Greg Biffle, and Shane Meal, who was the pole sitter. Jeff Hammond, what's caught your eye early here?
Well, let me kind of look at the back of the pack right now, and I've been watching David Stremme, Tim Fedewa, and especially Johnny Sauter. He had to go to the back of the pack because he had a transmission problem on Thursday when they swapped transmissions, along with Clint Boyer. All these guys look like they've kind of hit their stride, and they're making their way toward the front. Johnny Sauter is all the way up to the back, basically 43rd, up 29th. So these guys are making good moves early on.
Mike, Larry, Darrell?
I know another car that I've been watching, not surprisingly, Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. He started back in 21st, and he's moved up to about the 12th or 13th position, working with a new crew chief this week, Chad Norris. But a car that's really been on the move, but he had a close call just a second ago over in turn 2. Greg Biffle in the 66 car, he started 8th. He's up to 4th. He's definitely had one of the quicker cars, but it looked like Shane Meal was starting to go backwards, our pole sitter, and Greg got into the back of him over in turn 2, and it's like to have been real big. Just watch this. He runs up on the back of Shane Meal, and that's about as close to being wrecked as you can be and not wreck.
I agree with that.
Greg got quite a run coming out of turn 2, and suddenly the low groove closed up on him. Lead change, and to the front goes Carl Edwards, picking up where he left off in Atlanta.
There you see that silver car, Mark Martin in the 9. He's creeping into the picture right there. He pulls up to about 2 car lengths behind Martin Truex Jr. in the 8.
Now let's see, those first 3 or 4 guys there, they all have something in common, don't they? Edwards, Martin, Biffle.
Roush Yates power for one.
That's what I was thinking.
And Martin goes around Martin Truex Jr. for 2nd place, and Greg Biffle's right there with him as well.
Yeah, the lone exception to the Roush fleet at the front is that 8 of Martin Truex. Steve?
And the problem Martin Truex Jr. has right now, Mike Joy, is he said he's starting to slide the nose. He said he needs more front grip. Dick Berggren.
Shane Meal has dropped from the front of the pack to position number 5. Problem with the car? It's loose. Shane behind the wheel is very unhappy about that, Matt.
Casey Kane quickly on the move in the 38 car. He's climbed from 20th to 10th in about the last 9 laps. Now, before the race, he said to his team he was having trouble getting the transmission in the 3rd and 4th gear. He jammed it in the 4th on the initial start. Says the car is a little bit loose, but he loves it up on the high side. It's very fast.
He started 25th.
And of course, what you would hope is when we make that first pit stop, whether it's under caution or under green, that transmission's still going to cooperate like it should. He's fine right there, out there racing in high gear.
Mark Martin got a heck of a run on Carl Edwards going into turn 1, but he had to back off and get out of the throttle, and when he did, he lost a lot of momentum. That opened the door for Greg Biffle that came flying through, and now he's right on the back bumper of Carl Edwards.
Biffle's car is at ludicrous speed. That thing is fast.
He is so fast through the middle of the corner, and the biggest problem right now is he goes by Carl Edwards for the lead as these guys are really starting to catch the tail end of the field now that we've ran 25 laps without that first caution. But I've been watching Greg Biffle. He is so fast right there, right through the middle of the corner. He's able to mat that throttle and turn that thing to the bottom.
24 laps complete, and Biffle to the front. Jeff?
Mike, what I've been noticing here is that you take a look who's leading the field right now. Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards. All these drivers were on the track earlier this morning and learned about maybe how the tires were reacting to all this heat on the racetrack. Younger guys like Martin Truex and Shane Meal, who ran out really hard early on. I'm just wondering if they kind of used their package up a little bit. The guys that kind of paced their way to the front are slowly but surely kind of flexing their muscle the longer into this run we go.
And Jeff, if you think back to Atlanta, Shane Mill wore out his right rear tire. Had his car so loose, and I think he's fighting that again today.
But I believe Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, he's adjusted something about the way he's driving that race car. He just drove back by Carl Edwards in the 60, and he's pulled all the way up to Mark Martin in the 9, battling him now for second place.
What happens, Larry, is so many times off of 2 over there, guys are just losing. They've got to get out of the throttle. They're losing their momentum, and it's opening the door for somebody back behind them to go past them.
Yeah, when you have to roll out the throttle turn 2, it kills the entire speed down the back straightaway.
I've been watching cars off that corner over there, and it just inevitably somebody will get pushing over there and have to lift.
Another of the Roush cars back at 13th place, Matt Kenseth. Here's Jeannie.
Yeah, you could almost sense a visible sigh of relief for the 17 pit. The tire guy brought a tire back to the Goodyear garage because it had equalized, so they actually purged it and re-inflated it.
Trouble, Jeannie, back straight away. In lap traffic, a car has been spun around.
Stewart. That's Tony Stewart in a 33 car.
Larry, it all happened because of the chain reaction. Somebody up there had to get out of the throttle, and here they all come and piled in.
Brandon Miller got backed up coming out of turn number 2, and the accordion.
Just bring it to pit road if you can. If not, don't worry about it.
Well, Tony's climbing out. The accordion-like circumstance, as we saw at Bristol and Martinsville, happens on the fast tracks,
they're coming to help you right there. It's all good, guys. We're done here. We're going to go to the garage and see if we can fix it.
Now there's Miller in the 21.
The 21 drifts up in front of Tony. Tony gets into the back of him, and then Tony gets run into from behind. That may have been Reed Sorensen that got into the back of Tony. I can't tell for sure. We'll have to get another look at it.
But I think it definitely started with the orange 21 car, Brandon Miller.
Yeah, see, Tony had to lift, and when he did, that, I can't tell. No, that's not. Is that John Wood?
Couldn't tell who that white.
No,
Stanton Barrett, I believe who it was the 36 car, who was actually a lap down as well.
That got into the back of Tony.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be able to tell real well right
Coming outside. All right, clear inside.
Darrell, you can hear it right there. Brandon Miller had to get out of the throttle, late exit of turn 2.
Matt?
And Mark Martin, the first of the leaders to hit his pit box there, going to make a wedge adjustment. Mark said the car was tight on exit, did not want to change the air pressures on this stop. Steve.
Matt, Martin Truex Jr. said, tight, 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 give me some grip. So they'll make an air pressure adjustment on the number 8 Chevrolet of Martin Truex Jr. Dick.
Well, Greg Biffle said the car is so good they really don't want to make any changes to it at all. Carl Edwards is pitting just up in front of him in the number 60 car, and he said that the tires just plain felt greasy to him. Didn't have a good grip on the racetrack. But Greg Biffle, he came in first. He's going to go out third. Looks like Martin Truex Jr., the 8 car, that group, wins the battle off pit road. I think everyone changed 4 tires.
That wad right there, just about all just crashed into each other trying to get off of pit road. They were everywhere. Out in the grass, 41 was.
Yeah, we had about 34, 35 cars on pit road at one time, all still on the lead lap.
Dig. Good play. Good job, guys. Way to get them adjustments done.
Let's show you the race off pit road after this first caution of the day when Tony Stewart got turned around in the backstretch. Martin Truex well out in front in the race off pit road. Mark Martin, Greg Biffle.
Crew feels better, and I guarantee it makes that driver feel good.
Working caution at lap 31. Martin Truex Jr. first out of the pits ahead of Mark Martin, Greg Biffle, and Carl Edwards. Here's what's left of Tony Stewart's car after being turned around by Stanton Barrett in a chain reaction crash. That began when Brandon Miller lifted coming off turn 2, and Stewart got in the back of him. On pit stops, Jamie McMurray had to return to the pits for a loose lug nut, a missing lug nut. He goes from 15th to 34th. Randy LaJoie gets the free pass, and we're back under green.
Remember, early in the race, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car on fresh tires, his car was awfully good. Let's see if the adjustments will make that thing turn better on indoor run.
3 wide off turn 2. Casey Kane took it all the way upstairs.
See, everybody fights for the bottom and trying to get down into that bottom group. If you can move around the outside like Kane's doing right there, you're going to pass a bunch of race cars.
He passed 6 cars in 1 and 2. He got another 3 or 4, and he's carrying that momentum all the way down this front stretch, side by side with Carl Edwards for 4.
Got that high line, high, wide, and handsome, as they say in Texas.
Now, a lot of those cars he passed were lap cars, but he's gone from 8th to 4th in a lap.
On the high side. He has it figured out right now.
If you're going to do it, it's usually best to do it when you got new tires. Get a lot of grip that way.
Things sort out just a bit here as they come back across the line to complete lap 33. We listened in on Martin Truex, the race leader, under this caution.
I'll try to go a little bit easier here than I did, Bones. Try to save them fronts a little better this time.
Fine. Biffle's the only one that really was you know, better than, you know, we thought Mark Martin was the man. It was Biffle right there, so.
Car 01, you ran a 23.
John Wood, Reed Sorensen.
That was tight. Man, these guys are all over each other in this little crowd right here.
They know they need to take advantage of those fresh tires, Darrell. Get by who you can, why you can. This battle right here between Reed Sorensen and the 41, John Wood in the 47, that's a battle for 7th position. Stant Barrett in the 36 right in front of him is a lap down.
Well, this little crowd right here, this is yikes. Justin Labonte, Joe Nemechek, Matt Kenseth, they're all right there on top of each other.
Yeah, right behind this battle is a wad of cars. And it's going to take a little while for this one to sort out. Justin Labonte, after his best qualifying run ever, caught up high in this group, Steve.
Yeah, he did. He is, Mike. And, of course, he's the son of 2-time champion Terry Labonte. The Labontes hail from Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, Justin said that he started 4th, but it dropped back. He said that his car had gotten tight. He had a similar problem to Martin Truex Jr. The front end was moving around, so they dropped air pressures as well. Back upstairs.
Brandon Miller hit the wall in the quad oval just before the start-finish line. And he continues. Not sure how damaged he is.
He's, I'm telling you, he's kind of a roadblock.
Hold it up there. Hold it up there.
He's not going to be able to get the pit road this time. He's going to have to make another lap.
Yeah, he should have woed her up back there in the middle of the corner and waited for everybody to get by. He's got quite a bit of damage to the right rear.
A little bit of a tire rub there entering the corner as well. Here's what happened. Coming off turn 4, watch the orange car, Miller.
He just got real loose, Darrell.
Yeah, people have been getting up behind him. You know, he was involved in that wreck over there with Tony Stewart. They've been getting up behind him. Looks like it really loosens him up when they do.
The wall actually straightens him out.
Didn't straighten our camera out. It's no longer to be seen.
We call it accelerated depreciation. And Miller will make it to the pits. We will stay green.
Yeah, I think that was more like knocked him out than it did straighten him out.
Yeah, this thing, something's way out of whack.
This is a battle right here for about 21st position. J.J. Yaley, he's up into 21st position. The orange car up there had to start at the back of the field, spun on his first qualifying lap yesterday, and so he's been moving up. Riding with Michael Waltrip right here in the 99 car back in 24th.
A little piece of, I believe that's part of the rear bumper cover off Brandon Miller's car.
That's a caution.
And Tony Stewart, who got knocked out of the race early, is with Matt Yoakum.
He's walked out of the infield care center, Mike. First off, are you all right, Tony? Looked like a very hard hit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. Just can't understand why every time we run with Stan Barrett, he's in the way.
Well, let's take a look. We've got a caution coming out now, Tony. Let's take a look at the crash here. You can walk us through it.
I was just faster than Shane and whoever's in the 21, and whoever's in the 21 got a little free there, so I checked up, got into him a little bit, and then got slowed down, and then Stan just runs square through the back of us. So, you know, the kid's already lapped down. I guess it meant a lot to drive through us. So, I don't know. Every Busch race I've run, Stanton Barrett's been in the way, and luckily he had made a Cup race. So, I don't know. It's It's disappointing. I like Stanton. He's a good kid, but he needs to jump off buildings and do what he does for a living instead of driving race cars because he can't drive.
Well, they've had Tony Raines try to find his fire suit in case they can repair this 33 car to get back out there for car owner points, because remember, Kevin and Delana Harvick are chasing the car owners championship in the Busch Series this season.
There's the debris. Does it look like crush panel or sitting out there, and that would easily cut a tire, so the caution is out for the second time today.
And the O'Reilly 300 on Fox, presented by Mr. Clean Auto Dry, is brought to you by Aaron's. Aaron's makes dreams come true with dream prices on dream products. We're going to do the math with Aaron's, the biggest movers and shakers. Martin Truex Jr. has led the most laps, and you can see Jeff Hammond, who's done the biggest work climbing upward.
Yeah, J.J. Yeley, he's been making his way to the front along with Casey Kane and Sterling Marlin. All these guys are really making their way toward the front.
The biggest movers with Aaron's do the math. Let's take a look. We had a little debris bringing out, or at least contributing to the second caution of this race.
Yeah, Chris, and this is the reason why NASCAR threw this debris caution. You notice all of a sudden here comes along. David Green runs over a piece of debris, and the car behind him and bounces off the front windshield. So you've got to be careful not to let a piece of debris, like a guy could blow a tire out real easy. It could go through the radiator, go through a windshield if it's big enough and heavy enough. So that's the reason why NASCAR tries to catch these debris cautions as quick as possible and bring them into pits.
Joe Nemechek's son looking out, John Hunter, in the second grade, taking it all in, and observing that Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards have led. Martin Truex Jr., currently your leader, is Mike. They get ready to go green.
Justin Labonte will lose 12 spots on a penalty. Crew members over the wall too soon, so he goes to the tail end of the line for this restart. Truex, Martin, Biffle, Kane, Meal, the front five. Carl Edwards, Reed Sorensen, John Wood, Matt Kenseth, and Sterling Marlin. The top 10 as we go back to green at lap 45.
Yeah, of our 34 cars on the lead lap, the guys that were at the back, about 10 or 11 of them, elected to make a pit stop, more adjustments, more tires.
Stanton Berry got the free pass.
See Casey Kane in the 38 car, the same thing on that restart. He moved to the high side. He got a really good run off turn 2. Really made a gain on this top 3 going down the backstretch.
There's just so much speed up high, particularly on the exit to the corner. If you can get your car to cut through the center of the turn, you can really pick up time.
That last time by, Greg Biffle in the 66, he just turned to the bottom at the start-finish line, drove by Mark Martin in the 9 for second.
See Kane run high a lot. You know, if there's a groove up there at some of these racetracks, Atlanta, Charlotte, and others, he'll find it.
See him right there in turn 3 and 4. He caught Mark Martin in the 9, moved right to the high side. You keep the momentum up. You see it right there. He looks like he's running about 20 miles an hour faster off turn 4 because he kept the momentum up off turn 4.
Dick Berggren, what's going to happen when he gets to Greg Biffle?
Well, it's an interesting question. During that caution flag, Biffle and his crew chief, Newt Moore, were talking about the possibility of just letting Casey Kane go, take that high line. Biffle wanted to see what his line looked like, wanted to learn something about that high line. And we got a lead change up front right now.
Yeah, he learned he wanted to lead. Greg Biffle went under Truex to take the lead.
Well, if your car is handling well, you're going to run the bottom. It's a good driver that searches around and finds where his car is fast at, and that's the line he will run.
We see Mark Martin in the 9. That time, he's somewhat moved up to that second groove behind Casey Kane in the 38. It looks like both these guys that go by Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car kick him back to 4.
There's no pressure. As they say, there's no pressure from behind right now. Let these first 3 go and fall in behind them.
So Truex drops back to 4th, Steve.
And Mike, this may be part of his plan during the caution period. For debris, he told Kevin Bono-Mannion, he said, I think I ran the first 15 laps of this race too hard. I want to save my tires a little bit better on this next run. Jeannie?
Well, the first visit to the pits a while back, not what Denny Hamlin had in mind. It took a long time to get a rubber out of that left rear. New crew chief, Charles Barraclough, sounds familiar. His first week on the job, telling the crew, look, it costs time, but it'll be worth it in the long haul. He should know he won this race last year with Matt Kenseth behind the wheel. This is a new full-time gig for Barraclough. He said, really, the difference is calling the races, because Matt was only running a few, so that was just to win. Not that he doesn't want to win now, but now he has to balance winning with points racing. Matt?
Reed Sorensen runs in the 7th position now on Thursday during practice. The biggest hindrance he had was on exit. The car just had a wicked push. He came on the radio a few laps ago and said, good, we have clean air. We have to be loose in the center so I can be good on exit. Right now, he says the car is pretty good, slowly working his way up to the front.
He gets Carl Edwards. That's for 6th place. But it's heating up at the front. High groove Kasey Kahne, and stuck right against the white line on the bottom, Greg Biffle. This is for the lead.
Right now, Daryl Casey now, he's actually moved up above the black stuff, trying to create a 3rd groove up there.
Yeah, that high line will prevail right now. I'd like to have it working on the bottom like Biffle by the end of the day, though.
Daryl, we're seeing comers and goers as at Atlanta. Shane Meals popped back up into the top 4 now as the lead changes hands, and going to the bottom is Kasey Kahne. How about that?
That's the kind of car I want. Just wherever I got to go, and that's what he's doing.
Kahne led 148 laps in the Nextel Cup race here last year. This is the first time in 4 Busch Series appearances he has led here.
Tell you 2 other cars I've been watching. Jeff Hammond talked about one of them a while ago, Clint Boyer in the 2 car and Sterling Marlin in the 40. Remember, these guys started back in 29th and 30th. They just cracked the top 10, battling for 9th position. Both these cars seemingly have been really good on long runs.
And you know, I was a little bit concerned about the 2 car there, Boyer. When he got into that car, I said, I don't know about this, but man, he has really come on strong this year.
Limited schedule last year. He made his very first Busch Series start right here 1 year ago.
And this seems to be the right development plan. I think it's a lot to ask of a young driver to jump into a Busch car at Daytona and expect him to run the full season at big fast tracks, the likes of which he's never been on. So this seems to be the way to do it.
These 2 guys here are going at it. You wouldn't know that we've got 146 laps to go because they have been going at it the last few laps.
But what I like about the development program in this series at this level, owners are usually pretty patient. They'll give you a little bit of time here to make a few mistakes, learn the hard way, and then move you on.
The Joe Gibbs cars, Yaley and Hamlin, with JJ making the pass for 16th.
And once again, remember, J.J. Yaley started back at the back of the pack. Now he's up to 17th position after 55 laps and 1 pit stop.
Steve?
And Mike, I got to tell you something about J.J. Yaley that I haven't heard from any driver on the radio today. He said that his car is awesome. He's come all the way from the back of the pack, 42nd, as you mentioned.
Clint Boyer now battling Carl Edwards for 8th. Boyer completes the pass. Gerald, I like what I'm seeing. We have a 2-groove racetrack, and for 500 miles tomorrow, for the viewers and for us, that's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, this is a great track to be able to run high and low, because you get that good grip around the bottom, but if you can make it work around the top, you get so much straightaway speed. And that back straightaway is not very long.
That's what set up that photo finish last year between Elliott Sadler and Kasey Kahne. Couldn't really tell visually who even won the race.
So at lap 59, Kasey Kahne is our leader in Texas. Greg Biffle, who has led, hangs on to the 2nd spot, and lurking in 3rd. Yeah. Winner of 3 out of 4 here is Mark Martin, ahead of Shane Meal and Martin Truex Jr., the 2 drivers who started on the front row, running 4th and 5th.
I'm Clint Boyer from Emporia, Kansas. I drive the number 2 AC Delco Chevrolet. This is my 2nd year in the NASCAR Busch Series, looking for some pretty big things. I started racing motocross at the age of 4, started racing cars around 16, and here we are. Just like most drivers, Dale Earnhardt was my influence, like his aggressiveness and his will to win. I really like old school cars. I have a 49 Mercury Custom. It's kind of old school customs, my style, the big white walls, a lot of fun, kind of gangster style. Have a lot of fun with that. That's my baby. Off the track, I still like riding motocross. Like going down to the lake, hanging out on a boat, and having fun with friends.
Clint Boyer up to 7th, moving inside the top 10. And 3 of the 4 leaders today, as Kasey Kahne is your current leader, 25 years old or younger. Greg Biffle, who has led for a time, took the lead for the first time at a Texas Busch Series race. He won a Craftsman truck race here in 2000. As you get a look at the leaderboard, and Clint Boyer making a bit of a run here today.
He's making a little bit of a run, but right now I'm really impressed with Kasey Kahne. This young man is all of a sudden, I think, has got some momentum coming out at second place finish last week at Martinsville, and he's just kind of carrying over. It just seems like if you can kind of feed him and get him all pumped up, you get good races out of him. And right now he's been able to drive his car high or low and pass whoever's out in front of him, and he's making it look real easy, Chris.
Kasey Kahne just celebrated his 25th birthday last week, and we'll see him again in the Cup race tomorrow on Fox after all those 6 second-place finishes in Cup racing, hoping to pull into victory lane. Martin Truex has led the most laps today, 38. Mike Joy.
And Kasey Kahne, who's out front right now, has led the last 15. He has 0.7 of a second on this man, Greg Biffle, with Mark Martin in the rocking chair, as they'd say, just riding along in 3rd, and Shane Meal in 4th. We listened in on Shane, and he wasn't all that happy with his car at this point in the race.
Inside, he's all by himself. Can't go no faster.
Doing fine. We'll get the car faster for you next stop.
Got 10-4. Just keep doing that. We need about a 10th is all.
Meal in 4th, 2.5 seconds off the lead. Reed Sorensen is 5th. Matt Kenseth, Boyer, Truex just passed by Sterling Marlin for 8th, and Carl Edwards the top 10.
And Darrell, I think what they're trying to tell Shane Meal, especially with him sitting back there where he has a little bit of breathing room, is we need about a 10th on the stopwatch. Maybe try to move your car around a little bit while you're not racing someone and see if we can pick that stopwatch up.
Yeah, he didn't look uncomfortable in the car. He wasn't fighting with it. It looked like he was just kind of holding it nice and steady right now, waiting for him to maybe improve the car a little bit for him.
Because we've already seen what moving to the high side did for our race leader, Kasey Kahne, in the 38. Picked him up 2 or 3 tenths.
And that's the thing that the young driver has to learn. He has to learn to drive the car to the edge, but don't drive it over the edge, and then talk to the crew and tell the crew what he needs to make it where he can go faster.
Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, he continues to pick up a few cars. He's up in the 6th position. Remember, started back in 21st. Looks like his car has that long run look to it.
Clint Boyer, we've spoken of. He has moved his way up to the 7th spot. And Sterling Marlin, who restarted 10th, has gained 2 positions since then. Went by Truex a couple laps ago to Marlin move up into 8th. He's about 9.5 seconds off the lead.
I've been watching a few cars right behind Sterling Marlin, the 40 car. His teammate, David Stremme, in the 14 car. David started back in 28th position. He was not very happy with his car the other day in practice, but he keeps moving towards the front. You see Davey right there in the Navy car.
Stremme from 26th to 11th. He's 12 seconds off the leader.
David needs a good solid run here. He's sitting back 11th in points, only 19 points out of 10.
A lot of people think he will be making the move to Cup one of these days, not before too long. You got to realize something about him. He's been with 3 different teams and 4 different crew chiefs. He's gotten bounced around quite a bit.
But you talked about development. Remember, he's part of the Ganassi driver development program.
Joe Nemechek started 12th, and that's where he runs. 73 laps into this race, 13 seconds behind the leader. John Wood had a great qualifying run. He started 7th in the Clorox Twist Ford, and he has dropped back a bit in the running to 13th. His car owner, Tad Geschickter, says this kid is totally fearless. Hop in it, put the foot on the floor, go.
And they've been showing some spark here lately. Finished 11th at Bristol, a good solid run, stayed out of trouble. See right behind him, the 35 car, that's Jason Keller. Moved up to the 14th position.
And when you move into another series, he came from the Truck Series into the Busch Series, you know, you need some good runs to get your confidence. The be able to say, okay, I understand the car. I know what I'm doing. I can do this. That makes all the difference in the world.
And the thing about most of these cars right here, they're going to have to come to pit road should we stay green in about 20 laps for that green flag pit stop.
75 laps complete in the O'Reilly 300. Kasey Kahne over Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, Shane Neal, and Reed Sorensen.
You're watching Fox Sports, broadcasting in HD and presented by DirecTV. Rethink TV.
The O'Reilly 300 on Fox is presented by Mr. Clean Auto Drive Pro Series Car Wash. Never dry your car again. Kasey Kahne leading Greg Biffle 82 laps in here at Texas Motor Speedway. How about some high-speed hijinks? I don't talk like that, but you get the idea. Michael Waltrip scraping the wall. Then Tony Stewart. You know, Stanton Barrett, the stuntman, a stunt pulled here that Tony didn't like. And in the 33 car owned by the Harvick family, Tony was okay. A little steamed out of the race currently. Brandon Miller, Richard Childress Racing, had a little problem with the wall. That's usually Harvick's ride, so that debris brings out another caution coming from the 21 car. And right now, Kasey Kahne, your leader. And the furthest a Texas winner has started from to win, 20th, Mark Martin. Kasey Kahne started today, currently at 25th. We're at a record pace so far, average speed-wise, just over 147 miles per hour.
So far, everybody's been doing a really nice job. And Kasey Kahne, hey, we've been talking about it earlier. He has been on a rail, whether it's the high rail or the low rail. The car's been hooked up, Chris. I mean, it seems like he's just driving it so effortlessly. As
here's Clint Boyer.
Clint Boyer right
after
now,
Matt Kenseth,
making a really strong run right now. He's running Matt Kenseth down right now. It's a battle for 6th place, but Clint started way deep in the field also. But he's been very deliberate with this 2 car. He again has got one of those cars that's got a really good look about it. Making his way up through, he's got to be careful. He's got a slow car down on the low side. That's a 10 car of Michel Jourdain right there in the 10 car. So he's got to be careful right there and pace himself, make the move around.
Let's get back to Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
Only one car out of this race. Ryan Hemphill, or rather Tony Stewart out. Ryan Hemphill behind the wall. Brandon Miller in the garage for a long time, but he is back on track in the Reese's car. Kasey Kahne out front now by 1.7 seconds over Greg Biffle, Mark Martin, Shane Neal, and Reed Sorensen.
I think when you have the impound, situation where they qualify and cover the cars up, you're going to have a lot of different scenarios going on, as we say. You're going to have guys starting up front. They're going to slide to the back. You're going to have guys deep in the field working their way to the front, because qualifying is a real bag of tricks when you're trying to get the car set up for the race.
You know, we talked before break that we were about 20 laps away from possibly a green flag pit stop. In this race, we've talked about this, the entire race has a green flag look. This is where these drivers have to give that crew chief some really good information. We listen in on Mark Martin talking to his crew chief, Pat Trison.
Pushes real bad on the gas, but it's locked down real hard in the back. I don't know anything else to do but raise that track bar a bunch.
Larry and Darrell, a unique situation here. Pat Trison, the crew chief on this car, has also got his father, Joe Trison, is the engine tuner that works for Roush Engines. And Joe has kind of like been instrumental leading Pat into the racing industry, but they make a great combination. I think Matt Yoakum pointed it out earlier. They're batting 1,000 so far this year, guys.
But, Darrell, I think what Mark was trying to tell Pat is my rear feels under me. I'm shoving the nose. I'm not afraid to make an aggressive move to free this car up.
Yeah, when he says raise the track bar up a bunch, now with me and Hammond, that'd have been the air wrench in there raising the thing up. These guys, they might only be talking about a round. That could be a bunch on one of these cars.
But as we talked in the beginning, it does not look like they're going to get a lot of opportunities to adjust these cars.
Yeah, and you know what happens every time the track bar seems to be the worst. That's when they leave the wrench sticking in there when you leave pit road.
Kasey Kahne has lapped past the number 6 of Jeremy Mayfield, and he's beginning to put some decent cars a lap down here.
Now, he just lapped Michael Waltrip in the 99 car, so we're starting to see some of these cars that are getting laps go ahead and make their green flag stop, try to get those adjustments, get back out there on those fresh tires, make up some time.
Here we go, start lap right here.
Yeah, get tires, get back out there, come out in front of the leader or near the leader, get the free pass. That's what you're trying to do right now. Comes John Wood on the pit road.
And he was a little sideways when he got to that entrance.
He was slideways.
Denny Hamlin follows him in. So we begin green flag stops as Kasey Kahne is setting a pretty blistering pace here at 90 laps.
Yeah, and with over a second lead, Kasey Kahne in the 38, he can kind of watch some of these guys behind him. He can kind of let them dictate when this green flag stops. He does not have to make that commitment early because he has a little bit of a cushion.
Have to be so careful here coming into the pits, coming off of turn 4 there. You got to let the spotters, got to let the people all around you know that I'm slowing down to get to pit road. Don't run over me.
Keller, Yaley, and Mayfield pit under green.
And just remember what we'll be watching closely, pit road speed 45 miles per hour. It never fails that there's a mistake made on these green flag pit stops. And that would be costly under green here.
Ryan Hemphill returns to the track, so that leaves only Tony Stewart in the garage.
It's pretty safe to say all of these pit stops will be for 4 tires, full of fuel, and making those adjustments. And what we've been finding out, it seems like where these guys are getting caught speeding is in the last segment leading. I think you can see the racetrack coming up, and you go ahead and gas it just a little bit, and it puts you over the speed limit.
Well, actually what happens, Larry, as you leave the end of pit road down there where all the pit crews are, it's vacant for a few feet. So you get the end of pit road where the crews are, and you think, okay, I'm clear. But you still got a little further to go. See, right here would be the end of pit road and the pit crews, but you got to come on down. Got to come on down to that line.
Our leaders are on pit road now. Kasey Kahne and Greg Biffle. Matt Yoakum.
And Mark Martin should be coming soon as well. No wrenches in the back window of Kasey Kahne's car. Now, he said the car was loose on the first stop. They made an air pressure adjustment. It is now gone to the tight side. Waiting on the jack on the left side. Finally, the jack gets over, losing a lot of valuable time for the leader, Kasey Kahne. Luck's finally on, and he is away, Dick.
Greg Biffle is in as well. They're going to make a little bit of an adjustment on the left rear car, just a tad tight for Biffle. He has had a strong race car all day long. Minor changes on this automobile as Carl Edwards pits in front of him. DeMatt.
Mark Martin pulls in for his second scheduled stop. The crew goes to work on the right side. Now you see the change taking place, a huge crank on the chassis. Now Martin said he wanted a track bar adjustment. The car was pushing really bad on the gas. It was tight on exit on the first stop as well, and he's away. 16.7 seconds for Martin.
Carl Edwards was in, so was Kenny Wallace. Blake Feast on pit road. Matt Kenseth comes out as the 64 comes in. Jamie McMurray. Johnny Sauter is in, and that hands the lead over to Shane Meal.
Boy, I'm going to tell you, Greg Biffle really won the battle off pit road, but you just can't believe, I know we didn't see it, Kasey Kahne over in 3 and 4 then trying to weave his way through those lap cars on older tires.
Clint Bowyer's in as well. Steve?
Mike, early in this race, Clint Bowyer's race car was tight, but within just the last 8 laps, he told crew chief Gil Martin, don't do anything. This car is good. Don't change anything. They will change 4 tires and pack it full of gas. A little bit of a slow stop on the left rear, but he's away. 16.3 seconds. Dick.
Shane Meal decided he was going to stay out just a little bit longer to try and lead a lap and pick up 5 bonus points. Right now, his crew is counting him down. 5, 4, 3, 2. He slid a little bit past where he should have stopped, but he's okay. The nose is not across the line, and that's all that really matters. This car has been just a bit too tight all day long. They just had the wrench in the back of it. Going to try to fix that. His crew chief, Todd Losey, not on the box. As always, Losey's on top of the grandstand. Steve.
Martin Truex Jr.'s service is done. He said his car was extremely tight. He's been searching for a different line to run. They made a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment.
That will likely hand the lead over to Ashton Lewis Jr., who has not pitted, nor has Tim Fedowa, David Green, or Stacy Compton or Michelle Jourdain.
But remember, these cars pitted on that second caution back on lap 43, so they have a few more laps they can run, but they don't need to stretch it too far because they're losing a lot of ground to those fresher tires. But they'd love to see a caution right now.
Matt with an update on Kasey Kahne.
Now, Larry Mack, we heard Mark Martin say on the radio that he wants a huge track bar adjustment. How huge is huge? In Mark Martin terms, 4 rounds up on that last stop.
Mark Martin does not make adjustments in small increments. Never has.
So green flag pit stops all but done. Ashton Lewis Jr. and the Team Marines Ford is the new leader in Texas. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Ashton Lewis has made a pit stop. David Green becomes the new leader. First lap he has led in 2005. And now he will come to pit road after picking up the 5 points in his Scotts Brookshire Ford.
And by virtue of a really good green flag stop, that will hand the lead to the 66 car, Greg Biffle, who right now has about second half lead over second place Mark Martin in the 9 car.
Stacy Compton came in. He would have become the new leader. He had not yet made his pit stop, but now he's on pit road as well. So we have now pretty much completely cycled through. I think everybody has been back in under green.
And that slow pit stop, Casey Kane now in the 38 car, he's about 2.5 seconds behind our leader Greg Biffle back in third.
A couple cars haven't stopped. Stanton Barrett is still out. And now let's check with Jeff.
Larry McReynolds was talking about these green flag pit stops and how important they are. The 38 car, he comes down pit road. He's leading this race and had a pretty good commanding lead. When they got ready to make the change, they knocked the lug nuts loose, I guess on the right front, and the right front tire changer had to reach down and pick them up and put them on, and he was extreme, a little slow coming around with the jack because of that reason. It was a 19.4 stop. Normally that pit stop should be somewhere around 13.5, 14 seconds. Again, a guy hustling around on the 6 car. Watch the jack man as he tries to go from the right side of the car to the left side of the car. He gets tangled up with the front tire changer, and bam, down he goes, messes him all the way up, and it's costing you time having to do that. The jack man needs to be a lot smoother than that. And even though Jeremy's not in the on the lead lap right now, those kind of things, those kind of mistakes on pit road is exactly what Larry was talking about earlier.
So that puts Casey Kane back to third. He's now 2.3 seconds off the lead, held by this Duraflame 66 of Greg Biffle. Mark Martin, as the long haul truckers like to say, is sitting in the rocking chair, riding along in second place. Some of us think it's just a matter of time.
The O'Reilly 300 on Fox, presented by Mr. Clean Auto Dry, and brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinking Bush Light. Bush, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Busch Series. Greg Biffle leading for the 3rd time today. Casey Kane has led the most laps, 40, followed by Martin Truex. We have 87 laps to go. A little ice cream to cool off. A warm, sunny day. And another caution has come out here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Let's get back to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Debris up in turn 4 puts us under caution. All I could think of when I saw Doug Richert was Harry Hyde and Tim Richmond. He was trying to get Tim to take care of his stuff. It was a story repeated in the movie Days of Thunder. And he's riding around. Tim says, I need tires. I need to come in for tires. And there's Harry sitting there with the whole crew. He says, you can't come now. We're having ice cream.
See, what I was thinking about, though, that's Doug Richert, Greg Biffle's Cup crew chief. Remember, in practice this morning, Greg Biffle blew a right front tire, and I have to believe Doug Richard's out there watching very closely those tires coming off that 66 car.
Plus, he heard they had ice cream.
Yeah, right. Biffle leads them onto pit road. Mark Martin, Casey Kane in tow. Shane Meal, Reed Sorensen. Here's Matt.
Casey Kane peels off to his pit box. He said his car was coming around. He wants to leave it alone. Now the 9 car, Mark Martin, he sounds a little less unsure. He says, I don't know what we can do to fix this race car, free it up. They're going to make a significant air pressure adjustment out of the left rear, into the right rear, to try to get this car loose. The 38's down and away, Dick.
A lot of conversation on Greg Biffle's radio as to whether he should pit or not. The final decision was made because they still will have 1 set of brand new tires that can go on this car later in the event. Tires Ration, they get 6 sets for the entire event. Biffle has 1 lap. Nice stop.
He gets out just ahead of Mark Martin, and behind him Shane Meal.
Like Reed Sorensen jumped up there pretty good too.
Yeah, I think possibly we may have had some guys roll the dice with only 20 laps on their tires and maybe just change right side tires only, trying to get that track position. What do you think, Matt?
Larry Mack, I'm hearing a gas only for the 41 of Sorensen, so they had few laps on those tires, one of the last cars to pit under that last round of green flag stops, so trying for some track position.
We do know Sterling Marlin took 2 right side tires only in the 40 car.
So we'll cycle things around after this caution. 114 laps complete, 86 to go in the O'Reilly 300.
The O'Reilly 300 presented by Mr. Clean Auto Drive, brought to you by Warner Brothers' new motion picture House of Wax in theaters Friday, May 6th. By AC Delco. Real car guys know AC Delco. By the U.S. Navy. Navy, accelerate your life. And by a new Q from Quaker State, the heat-activated oil that helps maximize the power of your engine. Reed Sorensen ahead of Martin Truex with 84 laps to go. Let's go below the Hollywood Hotel in the Ford Cutaway car. Jeff Hammond standing by with his State Farm safety report. Jeff?
During the course of the race, the exhaust temperatures underneath these race cars can reach over 1,000 degrees. So in trying to keep the drivers more comfortable inside, we've gone back and took some technology away from NASA. Actually, this is heat shields that we have seen used in NASA to protect guys when they're riding around in the space shuttle. We now use them in race cars. It goes between the floorboard and the exhaust system to try to reduce that heat and keep these guys a lot more comfortable as we go back to green.
So the next time somebody says it's not rocket science, well, it is, in a sense.
Small degree. You ride around here on 800 horsepower all day with pipes up under your feet.
Now that's a rocket ride. Johnny Sauter on the tail end of the lead lap. Reed Sorensen, Martin Truex.
I don't like
trying to work through. This is a wad right here.
I don't like the look. Stacy Compton in the 59 car right now, he is 1 lap down. He has got one of his 2 laps back, so he's 1 down.
Right behind Sorensen, side by side, Truex and Meal for second. And now they're 3 wide for the lead in turn 2.
And Shane Mill in the 32 car, those guys won the battle off pit road of the guys that took 4 tires. Reed Sorensen in the 41, Martin Truex Jr. and 8, gas only on that pit stop.
And you can see the difference too. Look at that 32.
You got to love this, Darrell. What we used to call a one-groove racetrack, and they're 3 wide for the lead. And now Truex and Meal, they're not done. They are still side by side for the lead. Meal wins the battle off turn 2. What about Shane's car? Well, let's go to Steve on Martin Truex, now the second place car.
Mike, as Larry Mack said, they took gas only, but they also went down on the track bar on the previous stop when they made adjustments. They adjusted the track bar too aggressively, and the car went from tight to very loose. So in addition to taking gas only, they made that track bar adjustment.
Sorensen and Truex and Biffle for second place.
And you can see Truex's car, the 8, get very loose that time coming off turn 2. So right now, I think these guys, they'd love to see a caution not too far down the road where they can get those 4 fresh tires for themselves.
Now is when the crew chief has to turn his radio off if he didn't change tires, because he's going to hear a lot of whining right now.
And here comes that black car of Casey Kane. And who's he towing into position? Mark Martin.
Right behind him. And there you see both those cars up in that second lane. How about Matt Kenseth in the 17 car? 4 tires for him right around the bottom. Been watching that 17 car, Matt Kenseth. He's been coming the more this race unfolds. Right now, Michael Waltrip in the 99 car, Johnny Sauter in the 1 car. What they're battling for is for being the first car a lap down. Should we get a caution, they would get the free pass.
And they are battling.
Shane Meal, though, lapping 0.2 of a second quicker than anybody else on this racetrack, has driven away from Greg Biffle by a full second, though Biffle is hung in a bit of traffic.
Larry, you mentioned it in the opening about how you're going to beat Mark Martin. You just beat him by doing what these guys just did. Maybe this is a good time to get those 4 tires. That thing to stay up under green for a while, that could be a big advantage.
Yeah, we know should we stay green, everyone would have to make at least 1 more green flag stop.
Biffle trying to get past Johnny Sauter and was rebuffed at turn 3 and now gets alongside, but that's going to bring Sorensen and Kane into play here for second place.
Hey, what about that? We've been talking about Casey Kane in the 38, good on the high side. That 41 car, Reed Sorensen, Brian Patty, they have that car pretty good on the bottom of the racetrack.
And as they tiptoe past the number 1, Jeannie, Matt Kenseth is right there.
Absolutely. Robbie Reiser, by the way, guys, officially listed as the crew chief for the 17 today. So the boys are looking at this as a dry run for tomorrow, of course, with his driver, Matt Kenseth. And it's just really interesting to listen to them on the radio. So much communication going on. And Matt really knowing his car so well. They've already gone out today on 4 scuffs really just to give it a run to see how it would go. He knows exactly when the car is giving up too much and what adjustments to make. It's a real collaboration here. And much debate as to whether to come in last time with just 17 laps on the tires. But obviously they came in to get 4 because they're pretty happy with this car and they want to hang near the top. Steve?
Jeannie, Clint Boyer's been in the top 10 in that number 2 car for most of the day. On the most recent pit stop, Gil Martin, the crew chief, asked Clint about his race car. He said she's a little bit free, but it's all good. Just put on a set of tires. At this time, they put on a set of scuff tires, saving their new tires or stickers for what they hope will be their last stop.
Now, one of the strategies that a lot of these guys are using now is they don't practice very much in these impound races. So they got that set of tires. Yeah, it's got 15 or 18 laps on them, but it's an extra set of tires almost.
And that's different from last year. What the Busch Series is doing this year, rather than limit the amount of sets you can change during the race, they give them 6 sets before the weekend starts and say, here, use them to your discretion. But they make them turn 1 set back in before they get that 6th set.
Shane Meal is running within a 10th or so of his fastest laps of the day as he's opened up a 2.6 second lead on Greg Biffle. A new record for the number of leaders in this race as Justin Labonte has pounded the wall. Coming out across the line. Come on.
That'll be a big break for David Green, who was just passed by the leader to go a lap down again just a few laps ago. He will get the free pass in the 27 car. That'll put 19 cars back on the lead lap.
And Michael just can't catch a break. He was in line to get the free pass, and they just lapped David Green. Now he gets it.
It's been a tough day for Labonte since having his best Busch Series qualifying effort ever and starting 4th. He's alongside Jerry Robertson here.
I think that car just hadn't been that comfortable for Justin all day. He's been struggling a good bit. Round she goes.
Boy, Brent Sherman just snuck through there on the outside.
I think that car might be one of those cars, Larry, that qualified really well but just didn't have the right setup for the race.
Yeah, they've definitely been struggling with that thing ever since the drop of the green flag. But now I think we know that probably the guys that changed 4 tires a while ago will stay out since we've only ran about 12 laps. But now Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car, as well as Reed Sorensen in the 41, who actually Reed has been holding his own. Now they have over 30 laps on their tires. We know they have fuel, but I think this is going to be a huge debate for Kevin Manion whether to go ahead and bring Martin Truex Jr. to pit road, because you know what, possibly with enough caution laps you could make it from here.
Yeah, I've already made my bed. You know, I decided not to take tires the last time. I can't come now.
Well, 71 laps to go. There'll be 19 cars on the lead lap, so
here they come though. Reed Sorensen in the 41, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8, Sterling Marlin in the 40, who only changed 2 tires, and Matt, a host of others.
And Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, gas only on the previous stop. He will take 4 tires on this stop and climbed up to 4th after things had settled in, having a very solid run as the 8 of Martin Truex gets to his box, Steve.
Well, Matt, remember, Martin Truex Jr. took gas only after the caution on lap 112. Sorensen is away. Meanwhile, Truex Jr. said, I feel like I'm floating on top of the racetrack. I am sideways loose. So Kevin Manion said, come on in. We'll get you some tires. They also made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment.
not a bad gamble with 70 laps to go.
I think that's what these guys are thinking. Again, we've only had 4 cautions. If this thing goes to the end, I'd say some of those cars could make it.
I guess that crew chief got tired of listening to all the whining.
But that could be how you beat Mark Martin, like we talked about.
Cleaning up in Texas after the 4th caution of the day. Free pass for David Green on that one. Tomorrow, the Samsung Radio Shack 500 Nextel Cup race on Fox. The first 8 drivers did not pit under this caution. Shane Meal, Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, Clint Boyer, Kenny Wallace, J.J. Yaley. Carl Edwards got fuel only, and there were a lot of different strategies under this caution, Jeff.
Mike, when you see these teams come down pit road and they stick these adjustable wrenches in the back windows, what's going on if you're making a track bar adjustment is right here. Here's where the track bar is located on this race car. It comes down, adjusts the long bar that actually ties the rear end and centers it up inside the race car. By raising it or lowering it, you affect the rear roll center of the car, thus allowing the car to roll through the center of the corner and get the type of forward bite they're working on. If they make a spring adjustment, they stick it in the back window a little bit higher up. Here's the spring. Here's the jack screw as it sits on top of the spring. That's where they're working on that, either taking wedge in or wedge out, loading the spring or unloading the spring, depending on what the driver wants to do. As we've seen all day long, a lot of these teams chasing these chassis adjustments as they go along. Right, Dick?
Indeed. Carl Edwards and his crew chief, Brad Parrott, are playing the fuel game. They now have enough fuel, said Brad Parrott, to go all the way. The fast cars in my area, I haven't seen anybody that's got a set of sticker tires left. They've all got scuffs left, but some as few as just 3 laps on them, including Carl Edwards.
67 laps to go. Pace truck comes to pit road. We're going to let you enjoy some sights and sounds and crank it up for you on this restart. Greg Biffle goes to the lead, takes it from Shane Meal, and Paul Menard too quick on the start. His number 11 jumped it. He'll come down pit road for the penalty.
This is a battle from about 5th to 25th right now. They're 3 wide, they're 4 wide, there's cars a lap down. You can tell this race is getting toward the final quarter.
Tell you what else they are, they're wide open too. Nobody's lifting.
Greg Biffle in the 66 just took the lead. He just ran his fastest lap of the race on lap 136.
These guys are running all over each other, running into each other, knocking each other sideways, but so far, and I say so far, and I say in the dirt.
But you see Reed Sorensen there, the 41 car, right behind him, Martin Truex Jr. in the 8. They're starting to catch these cars like Kenny Wallace in the 22. These guys, remember, have a little fresher tires than like Kenny Wallace in the 22.
Good run for David Stremme there, the Navy car right with him.
Yeah, but I'm telling you what, they are all over him. They've been inside, outside. It's kind of been the rock between 2 hard places.
Bad break for Sterling Marlin in the 40 car. We've been talking about how he was moving up through the field. He had to come to pit road, had a vibration, so he's going to go at least 1 lap down. And he did have a loose wheel. There's one of those mistakes we've been talking about. Take him out of the equation.
Reed Sorensen almost tossed it away.
Yeah, right down there in the middle of 1 and 2 where the tunnel goes under the racetrack. It's a little bumpy. He caught it wrong, and the thing took off with him.
And here comes Stremme.
I was going to say, Mike, you just talked about David Stremme in the 14 car, the Navy car. He took advantage of that, passed him about 2 cars.
That's because he didn't see what happened.
He just turned it to the bottom and stayed in it.
Clear.
Good run for David, though.
Stremme up for 11. Watch this 41, the black car. Black and white.
See the back of it hop just a little bit. Got a little bit loose and hit that bump. Seen a lot of cars get upset right there.
The bump definitely provoked that, I think, there.
Now, Greg Biffle went past Shane Meal and jumped out to a half-second or so lead, but Meal is reeling him back in.
I think that's just a product of maybe Greg saying, I'm going to save a little bit because I'm going to go all the way to the end on this set of tires. I better not burn them off right now. And Larry, I think we figured out that they've got another set of tires, most guys do, in the pits that they can put on later on if they have to.
Yeah, either the guys that pitted the last time or definitely the guys that stayed out, like our top 8 cars.
Casey Kane in third and closing. He's just 1 second back. Then it's Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin.
I'm going to tell you, not too far behind these cars. We've talked about it several times. Pretty impressed with that 18 car. J.J. Yaley, remember, started dead last on the field because he didn't get a qualifying lap in the other day before he spun. He's up to the 7th position. Steve, that car's awfully good.
Yeah, Larry, remember early in the race he said that car was awesome, but then that car became a little bit tight for him. They last stopped on lap 129. They took gas only and made a wedge adjustment.
We've had 9 different leaders. We've had 14 lead changes and maybe going on 15. It took Greg Biffle a while to get past one of the lap cars, and Shane Meal has caught him. A record 14 lead changes thus far. Carl Edwards, who took fuel only on this stop, and Reed Sorensen now side by side for 8th.
You know, Carl Edwards, a 60 car, Brad Parrott, their car has been decent today, but I don't think it's been up to what anyone expected.
That's unbelievable. I thought he was on the lead lap.
That's a 25 car, Ashton Lewis Jr. I think he thought he was on the lead lap, but actually Ashton Lewis in the 25 car is a lap down back in 20th.
He was one of the cars that stayed out under green when everybody else pitted. He got to lead some laps, but everyone else with fresh tires, and he ended up, after things cycled through, being a lap down.
That's a good little race up here for the lead right now. The 32, Shane Meal, has closed back up on Greg Biffle. Right behind them is Casey Kane. They're all over the place, one high, one low, one through the middle. But you know, Larry, Shane Meal, I know he gets himself in a lot of trouble, but you got to say one thing about the kid. He can wheel a car.
You don't never have to worry about him giving you 100%. They've got good race cars. They have good horsepower. And they have their act together right now. Good pit stops when he comes to pit road.
He's no different than any other young athlete. When they come up and sometimes they just, whoa.
Jeffrey Bodine.
Around he goes.
And the gunbroker.com
caution is out. Caution is out. That'll be a big break for Denny Hamlin in the 20 car. He will get the free pass. J.J. Yaley's teammate.
Guys, is that 4 tires ready?
54 laps to go. That car's hurt pretty badly.
I can't turn it around.
Looks like he got up into the 78 car of Jerry Robertson.
Yeah, he just was turning wheel in, putting wheel into it, Jeffrey was, and the thing finally snapped around when he made a little contact there.
Happens right in front of Randy LaJoie.
Not a real hard lick, but enough that that's going to send that car to the garage area, I think. But Darrell, I think the picture that's been painted with this caution is those 7 or 8 cars that stayed out a while ago, they have not been to pit road since lap 114, and we're going to have about 45, 50 laps to go. I think those guys, which would be like Greg Biffle, Shane Meal, Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, Clint Boyer, I think those guys will have to come to pit road this time with that many laps on their tires.
Yeah, see, last time I didn't realize they had another set of tires. So, yeah, you got to come down and get your tires and be ready for a shootout.
You got to be impressed with Shane Meal today. He is racing to earn respect. Takes a long time to build a good reputation in this sport. You can lose it in a weekend, and he's had a few tough ones of late for sure. but he's second behind Biffle on this run to pit road as Kasey Kahne peels off in front of Matt.
A little bit of water blowing out the right corner of the hood where the overflow is. Now they're going to make an air pressure adjustment in 3 of Kasey Kahne's 4 tires. His car still on the freeze side. They went with an air pressure adjustment in the fronts to help it a little bit, and also the right rear. Jeannie?
The 17 of Matt Kenseth needed to stop. They could not go the distance on fuel. While he's in, he's getting 4 stickers, guys, and fuel. Nick?
Well, neither Shane Meal nor Greg Biffle could have made it all the way. We're looking at those 2 cars on top of your screen, 66-32. Both are going to fire a set of scuff tires on. Neither had brand new tires. Meal still not out of his pit yet.
It looks like to me the car that rolled the dice after these pit stops is Jamie McMurray in the 64 car. He was one of those cars that pitted back on lap 130, 131. He stayed out. Only car of the 18 cars that I can find on lead lap that did stay out.
32 had a disastrous pit stop. I'm not sure what went on, but something happened down there.
Close call. That car in front of him is Jason Keller's. Wow.
That would have been disastrous, especially if he'd have knocked that 35 car off the jack. You see how close it is to Kenny Wallace, the pit in front of him.
It's a game of inches.
Yes. Reed Sorensen's crowd had another good stop as we are under caution for the 5th time today with 51 to go.
50 laps remaining here. Don't forget tomorrow, NASCAR This Morning on Speed, and then the Samsung Radio Shack 500 on Fox, 12:30 Eastern. Dale Jarrett takes a few swings for the golf club, and at Shane Meal. Shane will go 10 laps with Jeff Gordon. Kurt Busch joins us on the headset as well. And then wrapping up the weekend, NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. Our coverage of NASCAR continues all weekend long across the Fox networks. Jeff Hammond, Jamie McMurray leading Reed Sorensen. A couple of Dodgers here under caution with just 50 laps to go.
Yeah, flagman right there saying 1 to go. So it's time to basically as Larry Mack like to say, it's time to pull them belts tight one more time, guys, because it's getting ready to get real interesting.
Jamie McMurray had a tough pit stop early on in the day, but has recovered nicely. He is the new leader. He is the 10th different driver to lead this race. That is a record. Now, Darrell pointed out Shane Meal had a bad pit stop, and we listened in afterward.
What happened? Jack got hung up on the left side off the peg. I was too close to the wall? No, you're right.
Have another look at that stop.
Yeah, pretty calm, actually, considering how many spots he lost.
And, of course, Shane was just wanting to make sure he didn't provoke something that happened there. But you can see he's exactly where he needs to be. There's plenty of room on the left side of the car. Good right side stop. Right here is where the problem began.
Yeah, you can see the Jackman missed the stop. He's jacking up the rocker panel, look like.
And what a difference those seconds can make. So right now, he's going to line up back in the 9th position.
But I like his demeanor on the radio. Instead of being angry about what happened, he said, well, was it something I did?
Exactly. All right, Roy McBride, you better wake up Barbara, because it's going to be a heck of a restart right here.
Darrell, I just have to believe that Jamie McMurray's group, the 64 car, he felt like with only about 15 laps on their tires that more cars would have stayed out with him, because right now he has Reed Sorensen in the 41 car and about 18 others with 4 fresh tires behind him as we've got 48 laps to go.
Big squeeze back in the pack as some drivers a little slow to get up to speed. And here comes Meal tracking Kasey Kahne. They are 8th and 9th.
And I look for these two guys to pretty much try to work together coming up through there on the high side. Both cars have been working good up high. Now they've caught Greg Biffle in the 66 car. That's going to be a tough one.
I don't look for anybody to work with anybody right now. I think this is every man for himself. As you can see, Kasey Kahne
3 wide over there, Darrell. 3
yes,
wide.
Kahne's made that move almost every restart. Off of 2, gets a bunch of them all in 1 lap.
And that's 3 potential winners right there. Blake Feast brushed the wall coming out of turn 4, but continues.
They just go sailing by Mark Martin down on the bottom there.
And Jeffrey Bodine released from the care center. Okay. Kenseth, Marlin, and Kane on the outside with Biffle going the high road now.
And look at Clint Boyer in the 2 car. We've been talking about him. He goes to the bottom.
He got 66 got squeezed into the wall almost off a 2 that time by that slower car.
Back at the eye of the storm.
No, back at the ranch. Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Oh, that's right.
But meanwhile, back up front, Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, those little fresher tires. He has caught Jamie McMurray in the 64 car, but these guys have over a second-half lead over third-place car right now, David Green in the 27, who not that long ago was a lap down.
Leaders running about a second in front of David Green, who now has to deal with Kasey Kahne, Matt Kenseth, Clint Boyer. This is for the lead.
You know, talking about the leader, McMurray there, he early on, he had a lug nut that they had to come back in and put on. So the fact that he's recovered and leading this race, pretty impressive.
It's the 4th time that McMurray has been in the 64, and it's the first race he has led in that car.
Around goes Jaley.
Keep rolling your line.
Lucky more cars were not involved in that coming off turn 2.
Good that car stayed up high for most of the pack to get by and for the rest of the pack to get slowed down.
Backing.
And the free pass car will not be Michael Waltrip again. He was second in line. Johnny Sauter, the 1 car, will be back on the lead lap. So now we have 20 cars on the lead lap.
Always a bridesmaid.
He's going to be hot. He did about 5 shots at it, misses it by 1.
But that's a shame. We've been talking about JJ this entire race. Started at the back of the field. He'd moved up to the top 10 and just has trouble over there off turn 2.
Top of your screen. There we go.
Just jumped out of there.
Back it down. Get low. Now. Good job.
That was Stacy Compton. This is Kenny Wallace.
Stay down all the way to the bottom. You're clear. Good job. Caution's out. Woo!
We don't have a good definitive angle that did it do it on its own, or did maybe he get a little help? We just really can't tell.
The way it popped out of there, almost like he got a little help, but it's hard to tell.
Sixth caution flag of the day. We call this a quickie yellow when NASCAR says that all the cars, lead lap and lap down cars, can pit now. Johnny Sauter comes in along with Sterling Marlin and others.
The O'Reilly 300 on Fox, presented by Mr. Clean Auto Dry, is brought to you by State Farm. Great service, great rates. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm.
They will restart this time by with 40 laps to go. The Dodges of McMurray and Sorensen with David Green's Ford, Kasey Kahne's Dodge, the Fords of Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle, Clint Boyer, Shane Meal, Mark Martin in 9th, and Carl Edwards 10th. Truex 11th, Sadler, Wallace, Wood, and Nemechek the top 15.
Murray got him a pretty good little jump on that restart.
Gets by the lap car, the 99 car of Michael Waltrip. I was watching Jamie up to the point of that caution. If they pass him, it will have to be on the high side because he's been running that white line through both ends.
Shane Meal 3 wide, and there's contact there. Blake Beast goes around in the 5, the 25 collected of Ashton Lewis and more.
I don't think you're going to be happy about who caused this.
I think Michael Waltrip in the 99 car finally gets the free pass.
It is the 7th caution flag of the day, coming off a restart, and a big disparity in getting up to speed between some of the lap cars and some of the lead lap cars. Things got real close together midway down the backstretch.
For this group, they lost the car with Kyle Busch qualifying. Now they've lost this car, another of the Hendrick cars.
And Ashton Lewis, who led earlier, he's got big damage both sides.
Had a great run at Bristol and 6th in the points coming into Texas.
Blake Feast has told the rescue workers he is okay, handed his helmet out the window, and in a second he'll climb out. This happened mid-pack, well back of the leaders. Shane Meals got a big run. It looked like, did he brush the wall?
He bounced off the wall, off of turn 2 there, got into Ashton Lewis, and boy, that 5 car came within an ace of going over.
But definitely Shane Milton at 32 got up against that outside wall. We've seen that a lot in this race, and when he bounced off the wall, he got into the right rear quarter panel of the 25 car, Ashton Lewis.
Here he comes. He's got a good run on the outside. We've seen that. No harm, no foul here. He gets into the wall, and when he bounces off, nothing he could do about it. He just bounced off and got into Lewis.
And then Blake Feast in the 5 car was just a victim. Wrong place, wrong time.
Well, let's ride along with Shane Meal.
You could tell that he knew he was in trouble. He pedaled it, but it was too late.
Caution.
So Shane Meal is the eye of the storm. And yes, we know that's the calm part of the hurricane, because all of the damage happens elsewhere, and the eye of the storm keeps going.
But Darrell, we've been talking about that for 2 days. You reach the point of no return on the exit. You can back off the throttle, you can turn the steering wheel, it still slides up the racetrack.
This track, more than any I can think of that I ever raced on, will do that to you. You just lose grip all at once. You lose it in the wrong place is what happens, and it's at a point where you can't do anything about it.
And Meal was trying to overcome the effect of a bad pit stop, trouble getting the car up on the jack on the left side, and was trying to charge his way back to the front. We are under caution for the 7th time in Texas. Jamie McMurray, your leader in the O'Reilly 300. Jamie McMurray, the leader, with 35 laps to go. He is trying to get here, victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway. We are under caution after Shane Meal came off turn 2, clipped the wall, and bounced into Blake Feast and Ashton Lewis. His crew chief, Todd Losey, is his spotter. Losey and Meal had this exchange under the caution.
I was on his outside.
Yeah, he made it 3 wide there. So, you know, he was already 2, but nothing you can do. It's time to go.
No, I'm saying it was my fault.
It's time to go, though.
Here's another look at it. Meal is the 32 on the outside.
3 wide there, and he got cars laps down. He's trying to get by on the outside. He just loses grip right there, but when he comes off the wall, clips the back of the 25, which clips the back of the 5. Around they go.
Look at what a close call Clint Boyer in the 2 car had.
McMurray the leader as we get ready to restart. Steve Burns.
Mike, just wanted to follow up on what Larry Mack said. Jamie McMurray last pitted on lap 128. He stayed out on the recent caution flag to get track position. This is a bit of a gamble, but because of all the caution flags, they are very secure. They can go the rest of the way on fuel.
And just on Shane Meal's car, as we had the in-car camera, he didn't hurt the front of the car. The steering wheel was still nice and straight, so he doesn't have that much damage to his car.
He is 7th. Boyer 8th. Mark Martin 9th. Carl Edwards 10th. 33 to go.
You see the yellow car there between our top 2, Paul Menard, and 11 car. He's actually 2 laps down, trying to get one of his laps back. And just to update you on David Green in the 27 car right there, who's running in 3rd, he got the free pass back on lap 134, but Stuart Cooper, his crew chief, decided to do fuel only on lap 148 because he was 18th before that caution up to 3rd.
Well, these 2 guys here are going at it. Biffle got by Kenseth, but then Kenseth's come right back on the inside to get side by side again, which is holding them both up. They clear. He's good to go.
Now, Matt, how about Reed Sorensen? Does he have anything for McMurray?
They think they do, chasing their 2nd win this season. Now, when it came time to pit, Brian Patty's crew chief had a set of tires, but they were 10-lap scuffs, about the same number of laps he already had on a set of tires already on the car. They decided to gamble for track position, made a slight wedge adjustment, and just gas only. really, he's working his way all over the back of that 64 car.
But he's got Kasey Kahne to deal with too, so Sorensen drops to the bottom for the lead.
Every restart today we've seen the 38 car gets several cars, passes several cars on the outside.
I mean, he gets such a run when he goes to the high side off the corner. Looks like he's 20 miles an hour faster down the straightaway.
Kasey Kahne going.
Oh, trouble down here. 8 cars around.
The 8 car.
He's
going to
right
go down the racetrack.
Hard hit.
Caution is out. Come on down to pit road. We got some right rear or left rear damage, guys.
And some left front and some right front. And now, who benefits by this caution with 30 laps to go? Anyone?
And the lead lap here, guys. You steering wheel straight.
What McMurray and David Green, who right now is 3rd and 4th, I talked to Ray Evernham about this the other day. These tires do not like heat cycles, and that's what's going on here. You heat them up, they cool down. You heat them up, they cool down. I think these guys would rather see this race go ahead and run to the end under Green.
You know, one of the things that I consider every time we talk about Cup and Busch cars and comparing them, these cars still have a big rear blade on them. They didn't get the aero package. They didn't get the aero reduction that Cup did. And I think that makes these cars handle a little bit better.
2 tough weeks in a row for Martin Truex, who had his first did not finish in 43 races at Bristol.
I think they'll get back out and they will finish, but I don't think it's going to be very good.
Yeah, I mean, even though he came into this race 5th in points, pretty much his only highlight has been that win at Mexico. Pretty hard lick. This right here is where it gets scary, is all those cars coming at him, anticipating he's going to go down the racetrack.
Blake Feast has been released from the care center. Matt's with him.
A hard hit, and Blake, what happened?
I guess just wrong place at the wrong time. We worked on it all day, and then just from behind, I was going down the backstretch and got hooked in the right rear corner, I guess. So didn't even see it coming, hooked in the wall and destroyed a car. So hated for the guys back the back of the shop to have to fix the Lowe's Spectraside Chevy.
Thanks, Blake.
Thank you.
Now, in that brief green flag run, Mark Martin moved up to 7th. Shane Meal drifted back 1 spot to 8th. And Jamie McMurray, of course, went from 1st to 3rd with Sorensen, the new leader, and Kasey Kahne in 2nd.
They've actually taken Martin Truex Jr.'s car behind the wall, the 8 car, to the garage area to try to make repairs, get back out there again. He's solidly in the top 10 in points, but another tough week. And right now, actually, Shane Mill in the 32 car is making a pit stop.
Yeah, I think he had to. He's got quite a bit of damage on the right side, doesn't he, Dick?
The real problem is that he has a vibration, Darrell. He thinks that the vibration resulted from a bent right front wheel. He has asked the crew to make the right front fender as perfect as they possibly can. Tires that are going to go on this car are 12-lap tires. They have already been on during the running of this race. Shane Meal, like everybody else here on pit road, is out of brand new tires. None to be had.
Now, he will fall to 20th, Dick, because with the free pass for Tim Fedewa, that will put 20 cars on the lead lap. Actually, he'll be 19th. The free pass car has to start last. So Fedewa will be 20th. And there's Michael Waltrip coming out of the pits. J.J. Yaley is also on pit road. Let's get down to Chris.
Well, we've had a record number of lead changes and leaders. 8 cautions. Tony Stewart and the 33 car out of this race early. Stan Barrett bumping it from behind. Tony was okay. Justin Labonte having some problems, son of Terry. By the way, Terry Labonte going into the Texas Motorsports Hall of Fame, and Justin introducing him. There is Justin in his Coast Guard 44 car. Jeffrey Bodine, the oldest driver in this race, having some problems as well. And moments ago, as you heard from Blake Feast, Shane Meal, Ashton Lewis Jr. and Blake Feast involved here. And so with 28 laps to go, Jeff Hammond, it's Reed Sorensen, Kasey Kahne, Jamie McMurray, 3 Dodges at the top, followed by 5 Fords, surviving, scraping, and battling through the Texas heat and each other here at the Great American Speedway.
Chris, right now I think what's going to all boil down to is who's got the best tires. I think DW has brought it up several times along with Larry McReynolds talking about the cycling of these tires. You have a caution flag and all of a sudden you cool off even though you don't come to pit road. The cycling on these tires seems like has a big effect on them, and what's going to happen here now is whose tires are hurt the worst and how everything kind of plays out in the remaining few laps. But what I really like is I'm watching what Mark Martin and Greg Biffle are doing. They're kind of laying back there realizing we still got a long run here, and I think they're letting a lot of these guys kind of wear themselves out. It'll be interesting to see if Kasey Kahne's got anything left to get around Reed.
Talk about problems. Let's check on Shane Meal's tire problems. Dick Bergen, the latest on that, Dick.
And we can show you why there was a vibration in Shane Meal's car. Look at the concrete on this side of the wheel. There's no concrete on that side of the wheel. That caused the tire to be out of vibration or out of balance, and that's why he had to come in and pit. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. We're getting set for this restart with 26 laps to go. Nice run for David Green. He's the fourth place car on the outside line there, the number 27. He's the first Ford in the race behind 3 Dodges. Former champion of this series. He's having a great day. He's carrying the mail. Well, that's what it says on his trunk, says Postal Service there.
And again, he's a lot like right now Jamie McMurray, who's right in front of him in the 64 car, has a little more laps on his tires than some of the other guys. But just remember, wasn't that long ago, he was actually a lap down.
And I think, again, it just shows how important it is to get up front at the end of the day if you're going to have a shot at winning or at getting a good finish. Track position is so critical.
Let's see what Kasey Kahne in the 38 car does. I would anticipate down in 3 and 4, we've seen him so strong right after restart, moving up to that high side, getting that run off the corner.
Well, you can see him. He's building momentum as he heads down the back straightaway, and they get to the second or third turn there, takes it to the outside, and here he comes.
Kasey Kahne to the outside around that left car of Menard, and he is now on the bumper of race leader Reed Sorensen.
This is the battle right here from 3rd through about 9th or 10th, all the way back from Jamie McMurray back to Mark Martin, Elliott Sadler in the 90 car, who is up to 10th.
Smoker in turn 2, but that's Ashton Lewis still with crash damage. He's going to continue, no problem.
We pretty much all day long, as we have watched the battle on the left-hand side of the screen, Reed Sorensen in the 41. He's been on the bottom of the racetrack most of the race. Kasey Kahne in the 38 has been up a lane, even though he brings it to the bottom through 1 and 2 this time.
Biffle and Edwards side by side, right behind them. Jeannie, Matt Kenseth is in there once again.
He's trying, guys. Boy, the caution obviously frustrating for those involved, but also Matt Kenseth, he says this car is really good in clean air. It's really loose in traffic, but it actually gets a little bit better on the long runs. But if you've been watching this race of late, can't seem to get any of those in. So Matt says he's trying, but he hasn't been able to make up any ground.
Battling David Green side by side with the deuce of Clint Boyer right there, and Green's going to hold on to the spot for now.
Comes that Boyer in the 2 car. He's looking under Matt going down the back straightaway there. Got a good run on him, but I don't know if he can make the pass or not. He's alongside and does.
And who's right behind him? Tick, 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 tick. Mark Martin.
Mark Martin in the 9 car. But definitely Clint Boyer has been the class of the field as far as the Chevrolet camp. You talked about the Dodges and the Ford. Right now, he's the only Chevrolet in the top 12 or 13.
Sterling Marlin right there in the midst of things as well. Although Marlin is 2 laps down, still back up to competitive pace. Reed Sorensen stretching out a little more than half a second on Kasey Kahne. Let's see what we learned by listening in.
0.67. I think I'm too loose to run the top. Too loose on entry, especially in the 1.
I mean, you're doing what you're doing, man. We run second to the 38 car. I will not be upset at all. It'll be a good point today.
Trouble for Mark Martin.
In the 60 or back in 8th and 10th place. So just remember that. Let's take big picture, okay?
Mark Martin is slowed in the back straightaway.
Yeah, he'll be coming to pit road this time. And that was actually Brian Patty, Reed Sorensen's crew chief. Brian won this race 2 years ago.
Got a flat.
Come on.
Got a flat on the 9.
And that'll take him out of contention today.
See the right front is soft.
3, 2, 1, right here. 2 tires, 2 tires.
And I think Pat Tryson knew that possibly it was a problem on the right side. At the last minute, he changed from 4 tires to just 2 right side tires. Mark will be away, but he will go a lap down.
And this late in the race, it's going to be hard to overcome.
19 to go. Sorensen is extending his lead now over Kasey Kahne.
Well, we said in the opening, how do you beat Mark Martin? Well, one, you try to outsmart him, you know, somehow, and the other way is you hope he beats himself. And that's not his fault, don't get me wrong, but obviously luck didn't go his way today.
Now his Roush teammate Greg Biffle runs third, 3 seconds back of the lead, but Dick, is there trouble brewing?
Trouble brewing in car number 66, Greg Biffle, and the trouble is in, we've heard this before so many times this year, the transmission. He tried to hold it in gear. They do have a strap in that car which will hold the gear shift into fourth gear, and that's what they're hoping Biffle has been able to accomplish so that he can put 2 hands back on the wheel.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to herd my car around here with one hand, I can tell you that. That'd be pretty hard to do.
This is a battle for 12th right here between David Stremme and the 14 car. We've talked about him today. Joe Nemechek in the 87. And then you see Jason Keller in the 35 car. This is all a battle for position.
If Nemechek was in Sunday's car, that would have been the Army-Navy game.
This is true.
We've been doing that for about 100 years or so. And here's Shane Meal.
At 11 will not race you when you get there. Just keep digging. You go run them down.
And just remember, he has 4 fresh tires versus everyone he's racing with right now. They may not be new, but they're fresh. And he's all the way up to the 15th position battling these guys.
He restarted 19th with 20 laps to go.
Problem is he's 10 seconds behind our leader, Reed Sorensen. He needs a caution to get caught back up.
It's going to get him a top 10 finish at the rate he's going, though. That's a great comeback for a car that was in the wall a little while ago.
But Darrell, I go back to the audio we were listening between Brian Patty, Reed Sorensen's crew chief. This is only Reed's 13th career start. But Brian Patty, it's the reason he went over to this race team. He wanted to run all the races with one driver and chase that Busch championship. You heard him tell him, big picture, points day, regardless where we finish, as long as it's in the top 2 or 3.
Sorensen, the leader on the left. Carl Edwards trying to beat Jamie McMurray for 4th place on the right of your screen.
And just remember, Carl Edwards in the 60 car, he comes into this race as our points leader, so he needs every position he can get.
Edwards, winner at Atlanta.
Just goes by McMurray right there, 4th position.
Little fresher tires there.
At the front of the field, both Sorensen and Kahne each trying to win their 2nd career Busch race. It's Kahne's 89th start. It's only Sorensen's 13th, as Larry pointed out. And here are the points given the positions the drivers are in right now with 14 to go.
And the funny thing, before today, Reed Sorensen had led the most laps in the Busch Series, but it's all the laps he led at Nashville, 197 of them. He's adding to that total today now. Right now, the fastest car on the racetrack is Greg Biffle, the 66 car, but right now also Matt Kenseth in the 17 goes by David Green. That was for the 7th position. Remember, David Green on the little older tires like McMurray.
Right behind Matt Kenseth is the 90 car, Elliott Sadler, and he's done a nice job of just quietly being out there, and all of a sudden we find him in the top 10.
And Darrell, right behind him, we were talking about him earlier, John Wood, one of those young guys you talked about. Another good run for him.
Good job.
Yeah, I talked to Robert Yates, the owner of the 90 car, Elliott Sadler, in Thursday's practice. After their 2-hour practice, he wasn't even sure they want to make the race. They were so far off.
Shane Meal and David Stremme for 12th place.
Shane's doing a good job of just picking them off one at a time, getting what he can.
Mark Martin back on pit road in the 9 car. I think this time he possibly will take it to the garage area. Remember, he's racing to win.
Looks like another right front tire down to me.
Left-hand turn to the garage for Mark Martin.
Edwards, McMurray, and Bowyer for 4th place now.
McMurray's been out there a long time on that set of skins on his car.
And Darrell, should we stay green with 10 laps to go? Blake Bainbridge, his crew chief, it wasn't a race winning call, but I think it's going to buy them a much better finishing position than they would have had.
I agree. Good job on their part. Good strategy.
Bowyer and Kenseth closing in on this.
Bowyer has done a great job today too, Larry. He just needs to be patient right here A little bit better than McMurray.
I tell you what, guys, though, with 9 laps to go, it's going to be awfully close. Greg Biffle in that 66 car, he's been beating the top 2, 1 to 2 tenths a lap. Does he have enough time? I think so, if he can maintain this pace. And he's right around the bottom of the racetrack.
That's where he looks so good. Again, like he was early in the day, Larry, he's fast through the center of the turn. Really wide open.
Go. Just be smooth, buddy. You can do it. They're just right there.
Chief Newt Moore telling him, you see him now, you can smell him, you can almost touch him.
Tell you one thing, if I was Newt, I'd be talking to him, I'd be giving him a lot more encouragement.
You see right there, he's shaved
be on the bottom. Just see the air. Get through there. No pressure now. Nobody from the back.
All right, I'll bite. Newt needs to tell him, throw another log on the fire.
Time to go.
I don't think you're going to have to tell him anything. You don't have to tell Greg Biffle much. He sees those guys. That's all he needs. And he is closing in a hurry.
That time he beat him.
Go get him.
How about this place? Like Atlanta, it's a rubber band track. The field strings out as we come to the checkered flag. It all comes back together again. 7 laps to go.
It's so much strategy. I mean, you know, just...
Casey Kane in the 38, he got a great run off turn 2. We're seeing him somewhere where he's not been today. Around the bottom of the racetrack, he takes the lead.
I think what you saw with Kane was, oh, car up in the wall down here. Car in the wall, 64 slowing down. Yeah, we got a caution.
Caution's out.
Caution is out.
Ashton Lewis with crash damage from earlier in the wall with 6 laps to go.
And here comes the 64 on the pit road. That looks like a fuel. Is he out of fuel? Garage.
Oh, boy.
No fuel. Don't need fuel. Don't need tires. Go in the garage.
So all the way in, turn left.
I said, is he out of fuel? And I thought Larry was going to break his arm trying to get his calculator out.
He's ran a long way, 64 laps, but this will be a big hit for this race team. Remember, not running for a driver's championship. Rusty Wallace, owner of this car, going for the owner championship. They came in here 5th in owner points. But Darrell, this caution coming out 5 laps to go, and just remember, depending on how many cautions we run, we'll get 1 attempt at finishing this thing under green. The strategy's out the window, but the good thing about it, we'll have a single car restart, single file restart, since we're under 10 laps to go. I think pretty much everybody has the tires they're going to finish this race with.
Probably if it helped anybody, it helped Shane Meal. He's back there in 11th place, and there's a couple of cars there he can probably get, because his tires are much better.
But I also think this really helped Greg Biffle, because it puts him right up there. We know he was coming.
Don't spin the tires on the restart.
And we'll see that when we come back to Texas. Yellow flag floating in the breeze here at Texas. Casey Kane took the lead just before the caution came out for Ashton Lewis up in the fence in turns 3 and 4. So Kane making that pass on Reed Sorensen with what, 6 laps to go. Wonder about the timing of that move, and he explained it over the in-car.
2 laps to go. Green light check, baby. Tried to save it for a little bit, but he was pretty good. I had to go, and I'm getting tighter and tighter here.
All right, bud, you don't have to explain anything. You did a perfect job.
And I think he was going to save that move for the end of the race. But when he looked back and saw the 66 closing Biffle, he said, man, I better get out of here if I can. And so he went ahead and made the pass.
Plus, he said it was getting tighter and tighter, and that was being magnified back there behind the 41 car. Takes the downforce off the nose.
Man, you heard the Brian Patty say, I'd be happy to run second to that 38.
Despite the 9 caution flags, we're going to have a record average speed for this race. Record number of leaders and number of lead changes, which now stand at 17. Will we have one more? There are 19, make that 18 cars on the lead lap. Casey Kane, Great Clips Dodge, Reed Sorensen. The Discount Tire Dodge in second, Greg Biffle, and Carl Edwards in Fords, 3rd and 4th. Clint Boyer Chevrolet, the number 2 5th. And then 5 Fords, Matt Kenseth, Elliott Sadler, John Wood, David Green, and Kenny Wallace 10th. There's Shane Meal in 11th, Joe Nemechek 12th. David Stremme, Jason Keller, Johnny Sauter, Denny Hamlin, Tim Fedewa, Michael Waltrip, the lead lap cars.
Yeah, and now is when you think you got to pound on that driver. Think big picture. Don't make a mistake here and take us out of the race with 2 laps to go, particularly if you're Carl Edwards or Reed Sorensen or guys that are going to be running for the championship.
The biggest mistake, it never fails, we see it at this type of racetrack with cars on older tires, is the mistake on the restart, spinning those tires.
It happens almost every time here. We'll see how it goes. I'm thinking the guys will be aware of it.
Casey Kane.
Clean them up. The spotter has to clean them up and gas it up a little bit, get that thing cleaned up. Let's go.
Casey Kane has one NASCAR Busch Series win, November 2003, Homestead, Florida, in his 54th start. He is leading with 2 laps to go. Green flag.
Greg Biffle tried to get a jump on a move to the high side in the 66 car, but he's got to fall back in line going off into turn 1.
Kenny Wallace, nice jump to the outside in that second pack.
Biffle moves to the high side a little bit, tries to get that run down the back straightaway. We'll see what happens down in turn 3 and 4. It'll be white flag next time.
David Stremme may have brushed the wall in turn 2, but continues.
Yeah, really slow off of 2, like he may have a tire down.
Clint Boyer is fast. He got right up to the back bumper of Carl Edwards, but Matt Kenseth was underneath him. Here comes Boyer on the bottom looking for 4th.
It's a heck of a group right here, you know, with Carl Edwards. You got Elliott Sadler in there.
Last lap. And the battle's not for first, it's for second. Biffle alongside Sorensen.
And Kane says, fine, you guys run side by side, but Greg Biffle will take position away.
He's going to get a run on him right here, Larry, and I tell you, they're going to be pretty darn close coming to the line.
He drove it down in there, it stuck, but Casey Kane just that much better.
Casey Kane gets his 2nd NASCAR Busch Series win from 25th starting position.
Congratulations to John Wood, his new crew chief. Moved over there from James Finch Racing over the winter.
Biffle 2nd, Sorensen 3rd, Carl Edwards and Elliott Sadler. The top 5, 2 Dodges and 3 Fords. Clint Boyer, the first Chevy, is 6th.
That's a happy group, and I know one reason they're real happy. I saw that car in the garage area on Thursday with the whole right side wiped out.
Just past start finish line, there's an opening on pit road. Go in there and they'll direct you the rest of the way.
7th different Busch Series winner in Texas. Mark Martin, the only driver to repeat. And just ahead of Kane, David Stremme is limping to the start-finish line. He's going to make it across and complete the last lap as Kane gets to make the donuts.
Much to the fans' delight. Pretty nice burnout there.
Matt Kenseth comes home 7th behind Boyer. John Wood is 8th. Kenny Wallace 9th. Shane Meal is 10th. And it's the 2nd Dodge Busch Series win of 2005.
Time for our Mr. Clean Auto Drive finish, and Casey Kane driving at a great clip. He led the most laps, and with about 6 laps to go, taking the lead, passing Reed Sorensen. The caution came out just before that. Goes on to win the 2nd Busch race in his career. No driver has won the double here at Texas, the Busch and the Cup race the same weekend. Casey Kane will have that opportunity as we get a look at Casey in victory lane. Last year, one of People Magazine's 50 hottest bachelors. Time for a cold one. And to celebrate, let's go down there. Steve Burns is looking in.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris Myers. Casey Kane, your first visit to victory lane since Homestead in 2003. How's it feel to be back?
Feels good, man. It's slippery getting out of that car, but it feels good. It's been a long time coming for us. This Great Clips team's worked really hard, and feels good to be back. I know, Rhoda Olson and everybody at Great Clips, we think about you guys all the time, and we appreciate it. You guys do a great job for us.
Casey, tell us about the winning pass going by Reed Sorensen, and what was the key to today's victory?
Well, it was, we had a great car from the start. I was really happy when it went green, how well the car was handling, and I just kept getting, better and better off the corner. I was getting a little tight in, but I could turn down and get off, and I just got a good run on him down the back stretch, and he ran a great race. He always does.
All right, congratulations. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With Greg Biffle, who started in the 8th position, finished in 2nd. Twice the car popped out gear on him. How did you do that last restart?
Well, It's shift into high gear as you're turning off into the corner, and held it with my left hand and unhooked the bungee cord and hooked it around the shifter when I was going down in turn 1 there. Yeah, it popped out of 4th gear twice, and the 60 got back by me, and then the 64 had to race the heck out of him to get around him, but that probably cost us a win. I mean, I was just that much short of getting Casey there, but congratulations to Casey. Big win for him, but I sure like to get up there and race with him. A couple more laps, I think we might have been okay.
He did a great job today. Let's go to Matty.
Dick, another impressive run by Reed Soren, 3rd straight top 3 finish.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for this team. Just keep gaining momentum. I'm excited about going to the short tracks next week. And, man, I drove my butt off trying to win that race, and then Casey got around me. I was pissed. But, you know, coming into today, we thought the discount tire Dodge was going to be a top 10 car. And then we, you know, once the race got going, we adjusted on it, got it better and better. And, heck, we had a chance to win there at the end. So it's a pretty good day for us all.
And a good points day as well. Now only 76 markers out of 1st place. Jeannie?
All right, Carl Edwards, we're already looking ahead to tomorrow. You had so much fun here today. Last moments of this race, all I'm hearing is get up to the bumper of Biffle. You just couldn't get there?
Oh, man, I couldn't get him. The Fords were strong today. We just didn't get our charter Ford dialed in just perfectly, and there towards the end it was too free. But I'm telling you, that's just a blast. I got a car smiling, and it's just fun to race these cars. I can't thank Jack Roush enough. I had a blast running the high side down here. I mean, this is cool. I had a good time.
Smile ear to ear. You're fun to watch. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Deanie. Dodges finished 1st and 3rd, but Fords 8 of the top 13.
All out of the same house, the house of Roush and Yates.
And I know we still have 27 races to go, but especially those top 3 in points, Carl Edwards, Reed Sorensen, Clint Boyer, those guys are right there in the top 5, top 10. And look at old Kenny Wallace up there, moved up to 4th in points.
Hey, my kids did good today, didn't they? Look at there, Kane, Sorensen, there's Boyer, there's John Wood, 8th, Shane Mill, 10th. My boys, my kids did good today.
But Chris and Jeff, I think the best thing out of today was Casey Kane on the outside. We've got a great 2-groove racetrack here for the Cup race tomorrow.
And 2/100ths of a second last year, Casey Kane lost to Elliott Sadler in the Cup race here at Texas. 6 career 2nd place finishes. Let's spin forward to tomorrow. Casey, a guy you'd say, hey, might pull in victory lane Sunday as well?
It's looking pretty obvious right now that this young man is on a roll. He comes out of Martinsville, finishing 2nd. Comes in here today, gets himself a victory, and they've got really strong rides tomorrow. I think that Ray Evernham and that group right there, along with his teammate, both, they're really looking good. And, hey, Dodge got the victory lane today. Why not tomorrow, and why not be Casey Kane?
Casey Kane, his 2nd career win in the Busch Series, still looking for that 1st win in the Cup Series. Just celebrated his 25th birthday last week, and hopefully you'll be with us tomorrow. It starts early on Speed with NASCAR this morning. And then the pre-race show at 12:30 Eastern. We'll go 10 laps with Jeff Gordon, DW. Jeff will do the gas and go bit. Kurt Busch will join us on the headset. You'll vote for your sexiest driver as well. NASCAR Victory Lane wraps everything up after the Samsung Radio Shack 500 on Fox. Elliott Sadler, your defending champ. For Greg Biffle, his best Busch Series finish in 2005. Reed Sorensen, his 3rd straight top 3 finish. Carl Edwards, your championship leader, and Elliott Sadler, his first top 5 this season in the Busch Series. For DW, Larry and Mike, Jeannie, Steve, Matt, and Dick, and Jeff Hammond of the Hollywood Hotel. Not Chris Myers. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox.
This has been a presentation of Fox Sports, home to Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and NASCAR.
3, 2, 1. See ya.